What's up, YouTube gamers? Bonfire here, bringing you another Gamecite review. And today I'm bringing you my review of Dead Island Riptide. Now the game's been out for a little while, and I've been meaning to bring you guys my review for quite some time, but I got a little distracted with some different things, life and such, so without further ado, let's get to it. Here's my review of Dead Island Riptide.
Dead Island Riptide was released on April 23rd in 2013 and is the direct sequel to 2011's Dead Island. The story picks up where Dead Island stops, with you leaving the prison in a helicopter and you land safely on a military boat. There you meet a VIP civilian named Serpo and the Australian Colonel, Hardy, whom take you captive to do research on your immunity to this zombie plague. During captivity and research, you're sedated and later awaken to find your ship overrun with zombies and then crash into the island of Palanai. On the island, you team up with other survivors as you learn about Serpos's plan to nuke the island and get rid of the evidence of this zombie plague. The story within this game is delivered poorly and lacks climax and excitement. The voice acting isn't very good, and they play off the stereotypes of the characters, which can be both ridiculous and humorous at times. There is some attempt at drama and climactic moments, but since there's no character development and a lack of depth, you have no interest or compassion for them during those sequences. The pacing of the story didn't feel right, and the game is broken into chapters that don't feel like you're playing through actual chapters. For example, towards the beginning of the game, after the introducing moments, I was exploring an area and all of a sudden it went to Chapter 2. I don't know whether that was a glitch or not, but the chapters don't distinguish different parts of the story. The length of the game is not as long as its predecessor, which makes it feel more like an add-on. As you reach the final moments of the game and story, it's very anticlimactic, and it felt like it just ends, not in a good way. When you begin the game, if you're new, you can select one of 4 characters from the previous game, or a new 5th character whose special ability is hand-to-hand combat. Now, if you've played the first game, you can actually import your character with its current level and abilities into the game, which is what I did with my playthrough. It's a great addition and makes this game a true sequel. However, the enemies all level up to your level of import, and if towards the later half of the game, it makes it feel less challenging. Now, whether you import your character or start fresh, the first parts of the game can be very difficult and get frustrating. I found myself dying more than in other games in the first areas of Riptide. There's not much of a learning curve for new players, and it appears that the developers made the game intentionally for players of the first game. Now on to some of the gameplay. One of the first things you'll notice about the gameplay is your player movement. It feels slow and not as smooth as other first-person games, which can take a bit to get used to. However, I felt that it helps with the melee combat and is an attempt at a more realistic feel. Now the combat in this game is very melee heavy, just like the first one. You do get guns and other new shooting type weapons, but those come into play about 1/3 of the way through, which actually happens to be earlier than the first Dead Island. One of the great things about this game is that the combat is just so satisfying. Again, like the first game, the melee combat feels solid and enjoyable. However, the shooting mechanics were not improved upon and still feel difficult to use. Occasionally, I would be hip-firing with the cursor on my target and would miss the majority of the time. The combat can get tedious towards the end of your playthrough, but there are a variety of weapons to spice things up. There are some new weapon additions in the game as well, such as a stun gun and harpoon gun. It's nice to see some weapon variety as well as some new mods for your weapons. Another improvement with the weapons is that they seem more durable and last longer when used in combat. And this is a nice improvement because in the first Dead Island, your weapons didn't seem to last very long and you constantly had to repair them. Now they've also added a new mode of transportation to help you navigate this flooded island, the boat. It's a fun addition, but overall the vehicles play a minor role in this game due to the map sizes. And this is an open world game, but it feels a lot more linear than its predecessor, as well as an overall smaller game with not as much to explore. That being said, it's still fun to explore in the open areas and search for side quests. And there are some new side quests that you can do to help your fellow survivors and make them stronger for some of the new tower defense sections. They're worth some good XP and you can find some rare items. Now these tower defense sections are a new gameplay feature where you and your fellow survivors have to defend your camp from oncoming waves of different types of zombies. You're able to set up turrets, traps, and fences for defense. However, once the wave starts, it's difficult to make any repairs during the attacks, and it's easier just to fight the zombies one by one and make sure your fellow survivors stay alive. It adds a new type of challenge to the game that was not in the first one. It's enjoyable, though quirky and difficult at times. Another new feature are dead zones located throughout the areas of the game. And in these areas, you fight a bunch of zombies and a boss zombie in which you take down as a side quest. They are great areas to gather some XP and offer a new, somewhat challenging addition to the game. Now, the graphics of this game felt outdated. I did play on the Xbox 360, so it may be taken with a grain of salt, but compared to the first game, they look very similar. The textures aren't as smooth as other recently released titles, and though the landscape is beautiful and some areas don't look too bad, it's a shame to see the lack of upgrade. They've also tried to implement weather changes into the environment, which basically turns out to be clouds and rain. Now, this is a great addition, but there's no transition in and out, which makes it forced upon. Now, as you play the game, you'll encounter a lot of bugs and glitches which really hinder on your experience. You can get stuck in areas, watch zombies and bodies glitch and flop around, and I even experienced a glitch with quests where I was unable to accept them. I found most of the bugs annoying and leave the game feeling very unpolished. Overall, Dead Island Riptide is a lot of the same from the first Dead Island. The game is still a lot of fun and provides quite a bit of content for your money. Most of the gameplay is satisfying, and if you enjoyed the first game, you will enjoy this sequel. However, it feels more like an add-on of the first game than a complete standalone title. And with the bugs and lack of improvements on the flaws from the first game, it fails to deliver new experiences that many gamers were searching for. Now let's take a look at the positives. The addition to import your character makes it a true sequel. There's satisfying melee combat. There's some nice weapon additions. Exploration and side quests are enjoyable. The tower defense sections are a nice addition. And you get a lot of game for the price. Now the negatives. There's a lack of climax in the story that just ends. There's no chapter separation. Lack of learning curve for new players. The shooting mechanics are not up to par with other first-person games. It's a smaller game than its predecessor. It has outdated graphics, and there's too many bugs and glitches that hinder on your game experience.
So, well, there you guys have it, my review of Dead Island Riptide. Feel free to drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about the game. Or if you've played the first one, let me know what you guys think about that one. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give her a thumbs up and feel free to share it with your friends. As always, don't forget to subscribe for more reviews and gameplays. And until next time, guys, I'm Bonfire, and I'll see you online. Hey guys, don't forget Facebook and Twitter. Hit that button down below.